Hi there, Ryan Paracha here with Oakmane Media. We're going to look at how I did one of the visual effects shots in our recent film Stranger with a Gun. If you've not yet seen it, go check it out. I'll put a link in the description and also on screen. Alright, this is also a tutorial on how to make a flock of birds fly out from behind trees. Basically, in the film, there was a gunshot that went off and these birds were reacting to the sound. So, small little shot, but pretty effective, and you have a lot of control over it. So, what we're going to go ahead and do is jump right into how I did this. So, first we're going to look at this bird stock footage here. I'm going to drag this into a new composition, and what I've got here, just some stock footage of birds flying around. You could go out, film your own, or just look for it on Google. That's what I did. We're going to use this bird in the middle right here, which gives us one problem. But before I get into that, I'm going to come over here to my effect panel and type in key light, if I can spell that correctly, key light, which is going to key out the background. So just drag that on top, hit the eyedropper here and select the blue, and boom, sky's gone and you have transparency. But as you can see, the bird crosses over the one in the background, which makes it hard to isolate. The reason I'm using this one over here, not this one, is just so we get that nice wing flap there, which is going to be really useful when it comes to looking at all the birds flying around. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just close this and show you my original composition here. First thing you might notice is that I've made it a different size window. If you press Control K, that brings you to your composition settings, and you can change it. I made it square because that's usually good practice for a particle. Also, it's really low resolution because when you're using a particle system, it has to render all of those particles over and over again. So using a smaller resolution will help save some render time. So I'm gonna show you here how I isolated this. Basically, I used a lot of masks. If you hit M, I've already got them up. M on the keyboard will bring up all these masks here. And this blue one on top, you see, is set to subtract here. Basically, that's just taking away that bird in the background. If I turn that off, see how that is just, you know, right behind that bird there? And that'll remove the bird like that. Problem is, it crosses over this guy's wings here and part of his neck. So I just used two more masks set to add to bring that back in. If you don't know how to make a mask, it's just this pen tool up here. Also press G on the keyboard. Then you draw it. M will bring up your mask settings and just hit that little stopwatch there on mask path. That way, every frame that you change something, it will automatically add a keyframe there. Alright, so once you have that done, last thing I want to show you is if I hit P to bring up position, I have actually animated the position of this layer just to keep this bird more or less in the middle of this composition window. Alright, so if we're going to go back to the main composition here, I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new one to show you how I put this together. So grab the trees footage, bring that into a new composition, and right about here is where they're going to come out, I think. So what we're going to do is make a new layer, or a new solid, with Control Y. Color doesn't matter, but you do want to make sure it covers the whole comp, so hit Make Comp Size if it is not already covering the whole thing. Hit OK. Now we want to come to the Effects panel again. This time type in Particular. Now if you don't have Trapcode Particular, you can also use the Particle World plugin that comes with After Effects. I'm going to use Particular though. Drag that on top, and you can see we've already got some particles here. So I'm going to move the emitter around here. Go ahead and go to the emitter settings, and a few things I want to change. First of all, I'm going to make this a box instead of a point. That'll just help them come out from more area. So if I turn up this emitter size X, you can see now all of the particles come out of a wider area. Second thing, this is more important, go to direction, change it from uniform to directional. You can't see it right now, but if I change this X rotation, now the particles are only going to come out of the emitter in one direction. So that's going to be really helpful so that we don't have birds going all over the place. Alright, these are going kind of slow, so I'm just going to turn the velocity up around 250. Should be good. Again, you can go ahead and change that to your own personal artistic tastes, but Let's go ahead and make these look like birds. So go to the particle setting. What you want to do is change this from a sphere to a sprite, or a sprite colorize. I'm going to go with sprite colorize, show you why in a moment. Problem is, we don't have a sprite to use, so go ahead and grab this bird sprite that we made before. This was this composition over here. So grab that and drag it in. Doesn't matter where you put it. I'm just going to turn it off to keep it out of the way. And now go back to your particle layer. Let's name this birds particles. All right, and go to texture under particle. And on layer, we want to change that to bird sprite. You might not see anything right now. That's because of this time sampling right here. So change that from current time. I like to use random loop. That way, the birds will loop around, and it's set to random, so they're not all going to be at the same frame at the same time. This is looking pretty cool, but those birds are way too small. So let's turn the size up. Around here looks about good. You might want to do some size randomness too, just to give it a little bit more randomness, make it look more realistic. All right, and that is basically almost completely set up. The last thing that we have to do before we do more fine-tuning is just make it so that you can't see the birds when they are in front of the trees. So I think the best way to do that, of course there's many ways, I think the best way is to duplicate the trees layer here with Control D, bring that up to the top, and then I'm going to put a couple effects on this. The first one is a tint. This will make it grayscale. Second one is levels. So what I'm going to do here is basically crunch the colors to add a bunch of contrast, turn up the white to blow out the sky, and then just drag this gray level up here. You basically want it to be almost completely black and white to get the outline of all these trees. What this does is we're going to use a track matte, which basically we're going to go ahead and use this one here on the particle layer called Luma Matte. What Luma does is it looks at the lightness or the value of the color on the layer above it, and wherever it's white, it's going to show that part, and wherever it's black, it's not going to show that part. So if I press that right there, you will now see that the birds are behind the trees. And the really cool thing about this is if you look right here, you can actually see in these small little cracks right there the birds moving. So it's really, really realistic. If you tried to mask this out, you would not be able to get this much precision. So very, very easy to do. And the last thing that you might want to do is choose where to make the birds start. So let's say right about here is where you want them to start. Go back to the emitter and change the particles per second to 0. Then you want to hit the keyframe button right there. Go forward a few frames using page down, and then just change this up to maybe like 400. It's really up to you with how many birds you want. But then go ahead a few more frames and set this back to 0. And hit the space bar and look at all those birds flying out right there. Big flock of birds. You can always go back and change how many birds you want. In our original, our director Bishal Duda told me he only wanted a few birds to come out. So, if I look at this particle layer, you'll see that I have it set, only to, 20 birds per second, which is a lot less than the 400 we've got over here. And then, you can always come back and change the rotation a little bit. I don't know how much you can play with that before it starts to look weird. The velocity, of course, how fast you want them to go. You can actually do some velocity dampening down here if you go into the physics. And just turn on, air. If you turn on a little bit of air resistance, they'll actually slow down a little bit if you set the velocity higher to begin with. But, that's all up to you. So I'm going to hit play one more time. You can see they fly out quickly and then slow down a little bit more at the top. So I hope you enjoyed this, learned something new about particle systems or how we do visual effects or any of that. Again, my name is Ryan Paracha. This is Oakmane Media with Stranger with a Gun.